In this video, we'll discuss how plastic surgery may alter your life path and destiny in unfavorable ways, and things for you to consider regarding facial augmentation. Enjoy. Welcome back, everyone. So when I started this channel, when I reignited it less than a year ago, I started making face reading videos again. A lot of people have asked about facial augmentation. They've asked about plastic surgery. They've asked about facial acupuncture, face yoga, all of these things in relation to face reading. So I'm gonna make a series of videos around this topic, and I'll always revisit things, but for now, I'm gonna jump in and talk about face reading and what this means in relation to these things. So first and foremost, the thing I like to always say to people is that I have zero judgment around people who decide to get plastic surgery. So what you do with your face, what you do with your life is ultimately your business and not mine. So that being said, I'm going to talk about some of the things to consider, because as we know, in the face reading world, the face is a hologram. It's a template or an infrastructure or a map of your life terrain. It's also reflective of your health. It's reflective of personality traits. And so the working theory is that your face is sort of like a divine tapestry to a certain degree. Now, whether you believe in God, or you believe in intelligent design, or you think all of life is just a random explosion from the Big Bang, however you want to think about it, I'm not here to tell you what to think. But in the context of face reading, the face is a divine tapestry. And so the features on our face, how we look, that is a material representation of the spirit. That's what the face is. It's where everything coalesces and comes together. So with all of that being said, in this video in particular, I'm going to be talking about plastic surgery primarily. Now, in other videos, I'll dive into facial acupuncture, facial yoga, all of that kind of stuff. But to break this down into digestible pieces, plastic surgery is what we'll talk about today. So one of the things, the ideas that I think is really important when we're considering plastic surgery, when people are going down this road, you've got to think of it like this. If you're going to change your face, realize that you may be changing the map or the direction of your life for better or for worse. You don't really know. And the way I like to think about facial features in our faces is that a lot of what you're looking at in the mirror, there is coded information in your features. There are some signposts pointing to how you behave, how you operate and whatnot. And when we change the face, those things are going to shift a bit. So you want to think the immaterial energy of the spirit manifests right through the face like a lens. And so when you change the shape of the lens, how that light comes out is going to be different. How people are going to see you is different. Now, case in point, there's a lot of celebrities who change their face, a lot of women who get a lot of radical plastic surgery. And if you look at the comment sections in a lot of these videos, people will say, why did she do that? She was so pretty before. If only she had let herself age gracefully. And so there's something to be said for that. You can definitely overdo it. It can be way overdone to the point where the face looks strange, obtuse. And as such, the reactions from people, because they're looking at something very unnatural, are going to see you differently. It paints a picture. Now, again, that doesn't mean I'm saying, no, you shouldn't get plastic surgery if you really want it. Again, what you do with your life force is up to you. But the thing to think about is that, the thing I invite you into, is that maybe you're sitting on something that you don't fully understand yet. And I mean your facial features. When people want to change their face, a lot of times it's because they feel a certain way about something on the inside. And the big takeaway with face reading is, and when we're talking about the changing of the face, how the face evolves through time and through our habits, is that how you live dictates how your face is going to express, how it's going to wrinkle, the color, the luster, all of those things are predicated on how you live. So if you're considering plastic surgery, the thing I always say is really assess how you're living before you do that. Try pulling other levers first, because you may come to really like your face. You may come to really appreciate the very thing you're wanting to change. And moreover, you could be sitting on some winning features, and by changing them, you might cut that prize down. It's sort of like sitting on a winning lottery ticket and not cashing it in soon enough, or not at the right time, and then you miss out on that fortune. And I want you to think of your face like that too. So again, I'm not saying don't get plastic surgery, but I'm saying consider these other things first. So what I've seen is most people, when they want to change their face, there's an internal emotional pattern that goes with it. And I would say suss those things out first. Look at that first. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. We live in America. People want the quick fix. They want things to change very quickly. We don't like delayed gratification anymore. And maybe we never did, but there's value in it by waiting and doing these things. So the thing I want you to consider is that how you live. If you're seeing dry skin, you're seeing wrinkles and things you don't like, start assessing how you're feeling. What are you doing? What emotional patterns in your life aren't working? I want you to look at the face sort of like an emotional and lifestyle indicator. And this is where getting a face reading from me personally, one-on-one, I can help you suss out those things. Because if you say, hey, I don't like this wrinkle, or hey, I don't like this about my nose or about my eyes, sometimes getting some information from a face reader might change your perspective on those features. Case in point, person that comes to mind is Barbara Streisand. People ridiculed her because she had a very dominant nose. And people were telling her from the get-go, you got to change that. You got to get plastic surgery. You got to take that nose down. You won't be taken seriously. And God love her, for lack of a better way to put it, she told everyone to fuck off. And I think that's a good thing, because in the end, that nose of hers points to very strong 40s, and it's the central mountain of the face. And I think it was very smart of her not to do that. And I think her life unfolded in a way that was more beneficial by not changing it. There's tremendous merit in letting your features speak for themselves, even if they're dominant, even if they're maybe slightly irregular or disproportionate. The other thing I always tell people is a little disproportion, a little asymmetry is what makes life interesting. Take a piece of art, for instance. I'm an illustrator by trade. I naturally can render pretty well. And one of the things I realized is I don't like photorealistic art. It's not to say that it's not cool. I appreciate the skill, but part of the artistry is seeing someone color outside the lines and paint the thing differently than it already looks. I can take a photograph if I want photorealistic art. And I think that's the way, it's an analogy to kind of think about your face as well, is that asymmetry. The things that are rough around the edges can actually be a very good thing. So if we change our features, we change the shape of our nose, we change the shape of our cheekbones, this can kind of predispose the world to seeing subconsciously these hidden markers for personality traits you may or may not have. So say if a person has a very moderate chin and jaw, which means moderate use of the wood energy, right? Not pushing too hard, not being overly forceful, and being moderate with how willful you are. If you have a softer chin and jaw, that's kind of what it points to. Now, if you get plastic surgery and augment that, give yourself a really cut jaw and really dominant chin, the world is going to subconsciously sort of read that you want a lot of vigor, you want a lot of push, and you're designed to push that will into the world when underneath it all, you're not. And this is where the life force depletion can come in. So again, you have to think, you're changing the picture. If I drew a picture and I finished it, and was like, this is my creation, and then someone came in and colored it differently, or started coloring in different sections, it would completely change the vibe of the picture and the intent behind what I created. Now again, if there is some kind of intelligent design and your face is a divine tapestry, you're playing with that a little bit. So again, now people have had radical plastic surgery because of an accident, that's completely understandable, and I think that's viable. And I think even if you're just doing it because you want to, that's viable too. But the thing I want you to think about is that your face is a template for your life. And by changing it, you can be changing the course of your life to a degree. And because none of us are omniscient, we can't see the future, you don't know fully what you're sitting on, and you may want to sit and let your face do the talking. in terms of how your life expresses. So these are the things to consider about plastic surgery. And I have seen many times over though, where I would say more often than not, when people have gotten plastic surgery just for aesthetics because they're unhappy with their face, more often than not, that change usually doesn't yield long-term benefit. They don't feel great. It doesn't fix the thing that they were going for. Now, sometimes it does, maybe in the interim, but what I've seen over the years is they kind of wish they had maybe not done it or waited a bit longer. But if you want your face to change, you need to live and express in a way that changes the face. If you are constantly trying to externally change something and not changing from within, it's a metaphor for life too. If you want that change, it's got to come from inside. And so this is something to think about. Change how you live, change how you feel, and your face will respond appropriately. So last little bit here, myself as an example, if you look back to me in my, hey buddy, just had like 4 squirrels come up to me. If you look back at pictures of me, when in my 30s even, I was much more inflamed, much heavier in the face. And what I can tell you is that, yeah, maybe I could have, if I was a different person, maybe I wanted plastic surgery and maybe got lipo around my face or something, and tried to change things to bring out features that weren't there. In the end, when I changed how I lived, my face expressed a lot better. And Lillian used to tell me as well, she's like, if you want full lips, you need to spend more time kissing your partner. You need to be more actively engaging your lips, in a loving way. That's how things shift and grow. And so I really encourage people, before they go to plastic surgery, look at your lifestyle, look how you feel, and augment from within first. Change the internal terrain before relying on the external terrain to make you feel better. So those are my thoughts. If you've got questions down below, please post them and I will do my best to answer them. And I really appreciate all of you putting comments, engaging, because it's how I also craft my content. So as always, I appreciate all of you. Thanks for your time. Take care.